Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Thought Raid, a show where we take on thoughts and find better ways of thinking about them. I'm Brandon Brown, owner of United Gamers Nations and a lay counselor, and with me today is the wonderful Tim Denock of Break the Meta and Life Coach. And I want to welcome you guys to tonight's Thought Raid, where we are going to metaphorically get naked and talk about things that we are going through and we are processing through, and particularly what I'm going through and what I'm currently processing through, because this is my week. So, welcome. So, this is an interesting week for me because I've been doing really well. First of all, last week was my 29th birthday week. I am now 29, which is exciting. Woo! Hello there, Deathbane. And yeah, so this is gonna be this is my last year in my 20s, which is wow. I don't know what to think about that. It's absolutely crazy. And it was a really good week. I got to celebrate it with a lot of people. I went to my Wednesday night group, which I go to every Wednesday, and they brought cookie cake. And they celebrated my birthday there, and that was a lot of fun to have like 20 people like, yeah, happy birthday, Brandon. So that was a lot of fun. And then I also got to spend time with a lot of my close friends throughout the week, and that was really cool too. And so that's also why we weren't live specifically on Friday, because on Friday I had a birthday party with my close friends, and
if you weren't invited, that means you're not a close friend. So if you're watching,
no, stop right there, you fiend. Stop right there.
Bane. You don't qualify.
Wow. Anyways, so I got to do that, and we went to a Japanese restaurant, and I had so much sushi and stuff, and it was really good. Tim, you shared with me what was the roll called? It was
oh my gosh, the munchie roll.
The munchie roll.
It changed my life.
Let me tell you, that roll had 3 distinct flavors at least that I could detect as I was eating it, which says something to the quality of it, that it wasn't just, ooh, that tastes good. It was like, ooh, that's nice. Ooh, that's nice. Oh, wow, that's really nice. Just a never-ending exchange of flavor. I was like, wow, that's what an experience. So it was great. I had a good week, and I got to spend...
And guys, if you live in Winston-Salem, Shiki Sushi.
Yes.
Just want to promote for them real quick. So good.
Yes, so good. Worth your time. Cheeky 9, I think it's what it's particularly referred to in some places. But either way, really good. But this week, or last week, one of the things that I got to process, interestingly, through helping other people was what is your dream? And why are you letting go of it so easily? Because there was a handful of people that they had a direction that they wanted to go in their life, but they didn't have. Tim is so mean to me. They didn't really have good boundaries, and so people were stepping on their dreams, and they were doing and moving into directions they had no heart and no passion for. And now in the past, with Thought Raid, we've talked about, how to accomplish your dream. Like, what is your dream? We've talked about things of that nature. But now I want to really take on this from a different perspective, because that last week, what I got to see from a perspective besides my own was resentment and not having good boundaries set with people in your life. And I want to break that down. I'm a little bit nervous because I don't have notes written down. So this is all free flowing. Welcome. I mean, it makes sense. Today's Get Naked Monday, so like I'm just gonna be naked with you guys, so to speak. I have no notes.
That's okay, Brandon. You can just talk to me.
Yes, I'll talk. You'll be my number one audience, Tim. So and speaking of which, we'll bring you in front and center. So resentment. Resentment is a really bad thing to have towards anybody, anyone, anything. Resentment is a really bad thing to have, because it kind of keeps you stuck in one place. You're not okay. It kind of keeps you stuck in one place and prevents you from growing beyond wherever the resentment begins. And I've been processing through this week where resentment comes from, and I think it really kind of comes from not knowing where you begin, where you end, and not defending it. Since you don't even know where it is in the first place, you're not even defending it. You're going to have dreams, aspirations, and goals that people are going to naturally step on, not really knowing that it's there. And then you are going to end up following through with what they think is right for your life. And before you know it, you have no goal. You don't really know what you wanted to do with your life because everyone has shot down those dreams in the first place. And now you have resentment towards those who don't allow you to be yourself.
And you know the crazy thing about that, Brandon, because I was thinking about this a lot recently too, because I've definitely felt resentment. But it's weird. You were talking about boundaries, and I think that's so key to it all. And it's like when you feel resentment towards somebody, it's like it's their problem. They need to fix this. If only they. But the more I think about resentment, the more I like heal that in myself. I realize that resentment is all me. It's all me,
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's what I've been seeing with the two people that I've been working with specifically last week. The issue is that they had things that they wanted to do with their life. They didn't fully know if that was exactly what they wanted to do, and that's why they didn't know how to put up boundaries. But they definitely, it was something they wanted to do. And so they allowed others to kind of say, no, don't go in that direction. That direction doesn't pay money. That direction comes with a lot of problems. That direction is only going to cause suffering. I don't want you to suffer. I want what's best for you. Don't do it. And so they gave up their whole dreams and instead went a different direction. And then before you knew it, like now they're living their whole life trying to avoid the people that kind of try to step on their dreams, and they're angry, confused, and they're bitter. And so it's like yeah, like when it comes to resentment, like you cannot control people. You just can't. You cannot control what they say, what they do. What you can do though is you can set up boundaries with them and say this far, no further. So I feel like in order to properly prevent yourself from selling out what your dreams are, I think the first thing that's really important, Tim, is that people need to get a grasp on if money wasn't an issue, if the amount of time that it would take is not an issue, if those were thrown out the window, what is it that I want to do with my life? And really take some time to kind of define what that looks like. Because if you're going to begin to set up boundaries with people, you got to figure out where.
What you're putting that boundary around.
Exactly. What are you trying to protect? Like imagine, okay, the boundary is a wall that sits around something that's being, you're trying to protect. So let's say your dreams and aspirations is a castle. If you don't know where the castle is, it's kind of hard to properly put a wall around it, because what do you instead do? Put a wall around nothing? It's like, what is this pocket of grass that you're protecting? No, you want to figure out what is the castle, where is the castle, how big is the castle, how high do these walls need to be in order to protect said castle? It wouldn't make sense to just build a wall around nothing. So I feel like that first thing, you got to define the castle, define what is, and I'm curious, Tim, you have things that you're presently doing. You run Break the Meta, where you're a life coach and you're helping people with things. What would you say? What is your present moment life dream? Like, what are you wanting to do at this moment?
Oh, there's so much. I'm in a really unique situation where I have the opportunity to do stuff like that. And I sit up here and, 4 to 5 days a week, I have the complete freedom to do whatever the heck I please. If I want to take a nap, I take a nap. If I want to do a stream, I do a stream. If I want to play a game or write a blog, I just do that. And there's not much in my life telling me no and that I can't, And I think the cool thing is that COVID last year got me into a place, the quarantine got me into a place where all these layers of expectation from other people just were removed. And it wasn't even my choice for them to be removed, like my job and certain people that I was around. And with so much self-reflection time, there was a lot of time for me just to think to myself, well, what do I want to do, And right now, since there is so much, I find myself stymied and just kind of stuck because I'm like, oh, there's so many great directions to go. But I guess to fully answer your question right now, I just want to transfer what's in here to other people so they can live the life that I'm currently living. And I don't really know the best process to do that, whether it's to do these live streams, write a blog, inspirational quotes every day, just reaching out to people. I like building communities, and that's really big on my heart. Being vulnerable about my process, so it helps other people. That's really big. And just getting, I guess, I don't know if this qualifies as a dream, but just getting back into what matters to me. Like, what does Tim want to do? Because, it's really weird. When you get into Christian culture, especially, there's a lot of the theme of die to yourself and serve other people. And that's much different than always put others before yourself. Because you have to, the Bible says, love God with all your heart and love others as you love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, you can't love them.
Right.
So I guess my dream right now is to understand how to properly love myself without feeling bad about it and without overdoing it.
Yeah, that's important. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that sounds kind of floofy and just loosey-goosey or whatever. A more tangible dream would be to pay off our house. We don't have any debt aside from that, and thank God.
That's really great. Yeah, I know, same. Yeah. But no, it's such an important, you got to understand, hurting people hurt people. We've talked about that many times. I think I learned that specifically from Dr. Henry Cloud, of hurting people hurt people. Or if not him, somewhere in college, somewhere at Impact University, which I am now sporting today. Hey, where I went to college. Woohoo! But it is so true. So, if you can't love yourself like God loves you, then it's really hard to love other people, because there's just, you cannot give what you don't have, essentially. There was a day where I had to lay down on. I actually took a walk on Friday, and I went all the way up to this abandoned area. There's an industrial area that's half abandoned and half not where I live. So I went all the way up there, and I laid down on the asphalt, and I just took some time to just receive what God was saying about me, because those are some things that I was kind of processing through, some insecurities and stuff, thinking about how the day went and everything. And I just received his love and just kind of intentionally opened myself up to hear what God had to say about me. And that, knowing how much that he loved me, empowered me to be able to then go from that point and be okay. But first I had to know that God loved me, that he, was proud of me and how well I was doing, that, he's with me, he hasn't left me, all that kind of stuff. And as I internalized that and not fought it, but actually, believed it, which is that could be a whole talk in and of itself for Thought Raid. I got filled up. Like I was able to see myself differently, and I was able to go into the next day with confidence and peace, because I allowed God to love me first, so that way I loved myself, and then I was able to love others without being overly self-conscious. I feel no love for Tim. So Tim, what's wrong? What do you need someone to do? You need someone to talk to? What are you talking about, Deathbane? We're joking.
Sounds like somebody's just being needy. Actually, Deathbane, I thought about you last night. I was playing League of Legends and I saw you were online. I was like, I'm gonna play with this guy. Then I saw he's bronze 2 and I was like, I'm not gonna play with this guy.
Wow. Are you not able to? Is that like a thing in League of Legends?
No, I was just kidding. You can. It's just, I don't know. I like playing by myself because you don't have to wait for other people to queue up and to be ready. And then inevitably there's always somebody that has to go to the bathroom and somebody has to get a drink. So I just want to play.
See how rude this man is. Look now. Hey, Deathbane, if you wanna, jump in here and you have things on your mind that you want to talk about specifically related to the topic, you're more than welcome to. Just want to throw that out there, Mr. Sass, right now.
Yeah, if you have further comments, Deathbane, you can easily access our channel by pressing Alt and F4.
Wow. Spicy man today, Tim. But yeah, no, it's really important. But yeah, I'd say in my case, my goals, my dreams, my aspirations at the moment has been really wanting to. I think it's all linked to purpose, because like what I want to do with my life is kind of manifest in a thing. But it's not the thing. So, like, I love challenging people's thought processes. I've done it with or without Thought Raid. I've been doing it for years. I enjoy also encouraging people who are depressed, or don't really think highly of themselves. Like, it's really easy for me to see people's value. Never been an issue for me. And so, but I can do that through Thought Raid. Or I could do that through the walking company where I previously worked. But at the moment, I guess my dreams have been kind of sharpened into Thought Raid specifically, because it's been a place where I've been able to fully express myself without hindrance or filter. Like in the walking company, I couldn't necessarily openly, frequently talk about people's thought life or talk about Jesus or whatever. There was some pockets where I was able to slip something in because my boss wasn't there. And no one was there watching, and I know what I'm capable of, how to like talk to people without offending them. And I also know how to talk to them to offend. I also know how to talk to them to offend them as well.
Well, Brandon, this has me thinking, if I can interject real
Sure.
quick. You were talking about working at the walking company, and I think, the title of this and what we were talking about is being a sellout.
Yeah.
And you talked to, I'm just thinking about how in my previous job, my boss always wanted my buy-in, and when I hired new people, like I fully believed in what I was doing, that my process worked, and I expected their buy-in. And when some people just were not engaged, I'm like, what is wrong with you? But a lot of people, from what I've seen, you get into this, you have dreams as a kid. Like you have so many dreams and aspirations. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to do this. And then somewhere along the lines, in high school, college, the reality sets in of what it's going to take to get there.
Yeah.
And then there's so many more people saying you can't than there are saying you can. And so you fall in this rut of realizing, it takes time and effort. And then you fall in this rut of, I have things that I have necessities and responsibilities to take care of. And since those are at the forefront, a lot of people think, okay, well, I got to put out this fire that's right in front of me. And they lose sight of what's down the road. And then 5 years go by, 10 years go by, and you realize you've been working at the same job or you've been working multiple jobs just to meet the responsibilities of paying rent or mortgage or paying for that kid that you had that you didn't plan, or paying off student loans for a degree you didn't even want. And you find yourself in this hole where the dirt's being kicked in on top of you and you're fighting to get out, and just somewhere along the lines, you found yourself pursuing somebody else's purpose, pursuing somebody else's dream. You've sold out your own to buy into theirs. And then you wonder why you hate your life and why you hate your job and why you're so frustrated and you just feel so empty and so lost, Yeah. So I guess, a pertinent question would be how do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile if you're selling out or if you're truly buying into something that matters to you?
Well, first of all, I think I've mentioned this many thought raids ago. Pay attention to the irritation that you're feeling. If you see someone succeed and that makes you feel angry or resentful or whatever, that's a surefire sign you've sold out somewhere. Oftentimes, if we can't see someone succeed without getting angry or resentful or bitter or afraid, that means there's an area in our life that we are not functioning at where we should be. An area that we've let go of something. Like you are capable of watching people succeed and being happy for them. But that's done when you are simultaneously moving towards your own goals and dreams and visions. And not to say that it's impossible without moving towards your own goals and visions, but I think a lot of the struggle we have in seeing other people's success, with the exception of certain situations, is because we ourselves didn't feel like we could do that. And so when we see someone doing what we wanted to do, but then we figured, oh, it's not for us, then we get angry about it. Because how dare you be able to do that, but I don't get to do that.
Oh, and it's so circular too, because I've totally been there. Guys, if you're feeling that right now, we've been there too. You're not by yourself. Everybody feels like that to a degree. And it's so circular, man. It's so toxic because you start thinking that, then you start comparing yourself to them, and you start thinking, okay, well, because I don't have A, B, and C, or because I don't look, or I didn't grow up as, or I didn't have this opportunity, this is why I failed, and I'm just not good enough. When in actuality, you're meant to do that thing, but you're supposed to go about it a different way. And that's why comparison is so nasty when it's thrown into the mix with all this. I mean, it's natural, but at the same time, it's
yeah. But here's the same thing, and I'm thinking here's a slightly different aspect of it. Aspect of it. Hold on. Oftentimes, too, though, on the way to our goals and dreams, though, there's got to be there's often, I'm thinking about the give and take that I had to do on the way to getting to where I'm at now. Because I didn't just start Thought Raid. I didn't just immediately jump into this place where my dreams, goals, and aspirations and purpose collided into one space. There was a process where I did other jobs that were close to what I wanted to do, but not quite. I was skilled in, and they fit the general gist of what I wanted to do. And there was times where I had to go through schooling in order to get some knowledge to do what I'm doing right now, and a time where I started different but separate communities that eventually gave the framework for what I'm doing now. And I kind of feel like it's important to look at that one too, because on the way to getting to what our goals and dreams are, which you don't want to let go of, there might be some times that you're going to have to make a few adjustments upward until you get to that.
Kind of on the same wavelength is that if you think about how Jesus chose his disciples, they all had the same purpose. They all had the same goal, the same dream that was put on their hearts. They were all from different backgrounds. Some of them were fishermen, some of them were doctors, some of them were, more administrative. And I think it's really interesting how they accomplished their goal in different ways because of their backgrounds. Like for me, I'm a life coach, and if you've watched my mission statement video, I one of the first things I say is I'm not qualified to do this. I'm not qualified, guys. I don't have any plaques or any certifications. Well, I have a certification, a couple of them, but I'm definitely not like I didn't go to school for it.
Right.
But I've been through a lot of hurtful things, and some of you have been through things that are more hurtful than what I've been through. But the qualifications that I have are just what I've been through, and the way I apply it, there's a partner that we have, Dave Martin, goes to our church. He is ex-military. He's a teacher. He's actually got an MACC. And he focuses mostly on goal setting and achievement, breaking down limiting factors, etc. And he approaches the whole life coaching arena from a completely different perspective with a different background. But, we address the same things,
Your life.
Yeah. And, if I had looked at the qualifications and everything when I was doing our about page, even Brandon has a degree. He has, what do you have? A bachelor's in Christian counseling?
A bachelor's in Christian counseling, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Latasha Mitchell, she's also one of our affiliates.
A master's in what, psychology?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And she does like family and couple counseling or something. But she's an actual therapist, which is really cool. But our goal is to help people get to a place where their life is better then than it is now. It's the same dream. But if you look around and compare yourself to where people have been, what they've done, the qualification, their statistics, it's really easy to get sucked into, well, I'm not qualified for this. I just need to do something more my speed. And then you find yourself working at Food Lion or, working at McDonald's. Not that those are bad jobs.
No.
Just, a lot of people that work those jobs wish they had different financial situations and wish they had different life produce situations.
See, I think that's the thing. It's okay to do other jobs and other things on the way to what your dreams are, but don't let go of those dreams. Instead, use those temporary jobs and things as a stepping stool towards your goal, rather than making it become your alternate focus now and move away from your goals. Because on the way to what you need to do, you still are going to have bills. You're still going to have, you might have a family, you have to take care of. You're still going to have other responsibilities. They have to be taken care of. You don't want to just throw yourself out onto the street if you can help it. Unless for whatever reason God is specifically telling you to be on the street, which I don't hear him say that much at all. But barring that, you're going to have responsibilities to take care of. And so you need to take care of your responsibilities. But in the process, use these as stepping stools towards your goals, not letting them go. Because there's going to come a point, at least in my life, there came a point where I had to ultimately take a huge risk to be where I'm at right now. Everything within me, Tim, up until the past couple of months ago, wanted to find another job and get out of unemployment as fast as I could. Because just everything, and I was raised conservative, raised Republican, and so like living off of unemployment is not something I enjoy, consequently. I'd rather not if I didn't have to. But it's very important in this moment of my life to be able to put full focus into building Thought Raid without having to have, am I going to be on the street tomorrow in the back of my head?
So before I quit my job and I started pursuing this with you and also Break the Meta, I worked at GameStop for several years as a store leader. And I know for a fact that 2 years prior to me quitting, God told me that I should quit and move into what I'm doing now. And it's weird, man, because you think, okay, what am I doing with my life? When you stop and ask yourself that question, when you stop and ask yourself, okay, what are my goals? What are my dreams? What are my aspirations? And what am I currently doing? And there's a conflict there. You think that there's a certain level of preparedness that you have to move on, which makes logical sense. I mean, the Bible even says that we're supposed to be shrewd as serpents, you know? Um, and so I made a lot of, not mistakes. What am I trying to say? I made a lot of excuses for why I shouldn't change, you know, and I rationalized it. Oh, you know, I make really good money doing what I'm doing. You know, this is consistent. You know,
And
I find validation.
I remember, like you, Tim, you were like always, you were in love with your job. You did so good
I
at
loved it.
it.
Yeah.
You did. And then I
I love the
remember,
community.
yeah. And then I remember when God gave you that idea to quit and do other things, like I slowly began to hear, I don't like it. I don't want to be there. This is irritating me. I don't like, and that's the whole thing. Are you a sellout? Because it's just like when you don't move towards the direction that God's called you to, you get resentful. Like it's not worth it. But I'm sorry, continue. I'm processing things. I'm so sorry.
Mhm. No, that's okay. And that's a good point, Brandon, because in that 2 years, I was convincing myself, oh, I love this. 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 But on the other side of the fence where I'm at now, it's like, I love this so much more. And if I could go back and tell Tim of 2 years ago, hey, or 3 years ago now, dude, here's what it's going to be like, I would have quit in a heartbeat. But it's because I was a sellout. You know, I was thinking to myself, okay, well, I can talk to kids about Grand Theft Auto. I can, you know, just be kind to people and build a community here just as well because you know the infrastructure has already been built. The business model is already in place, and you know I already have people. I have clout here because I have a little badge that says store leader and prestige because my store was a special GameStop location. You know, and we were winning accolades, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I have all these credentials now in this arena. And I sold out to that. I was like, okay. Well, whereas in the years prior to that, I was so focused on just talking to people, loving people, and enjoying them. And for the last 2 years, something happened and my mind switched and I sold out because I was rationalizing, oh, where I'm at right now is better than where I could be because A, B, and C. I started looking more at the logistics than the heart. How are our sales doing? How is this? And before, when I would coach my teams, I would say, let's not worry about the sales. Let's just focus on loving people. Let's focus on building relationships with people. If people like you, they will do business with you. That is true.
Yes.
And when I started selling out to GameStop because I was selling short what God had in store for me, I got so focused on keeping it good when in reality, God is the one who made it good for me because I was obedient. You know, and slowly that blessing started to dry up, and I had to try more and more, and I found more and more at work. I would go in, and little things would agitate me. Like I went into the stock room, and I kicked more boxes in my last year at GameStop than I had my entire career prior. I
Wow.
had said more swear words and grumbled under my breath about customers and employees and my boss in the last year than the years prior, which I almost never did in the years prior because it was so much easier to just love people when I wasn't so focused on protecting my situation.
Yeah. And that's interesting. You know, in the process, like there may be some of you guys that are out there who are kind of going through that similar thing where like this used to work and now it's not. And that I think in the process of heading into who we were meant to be, we go through seasons. Because there is a time and place for everything. You know, in life is representative of that. You have, at least in North America, you have 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, winter.
In North Carolina, you have two. You have summer and kind of winter.
And kind of winter. Yeah. But in general, there are 4 seasons. And there's activities for every one of them. And there's certain, you do more usually in the spring and fall, less in the summer and winter, you know, because of the cold and the heat. But like there's just a season for everything. And so when you're doing the right thing in the right season, there's a flow that exists for that. Like you were able to just love on people when the season for being at GameStop was blossoming, blossoming in your life. Like, it's just
Blossoming.
it was the right time, right place. But when you were trying to remain there out of season, and it was no longer blossoming, the leaves were falling, it's just everything was annoying because you were in the wrong place, wrong season. And so, there's a little bit of recognition that, there is grace periods for doing certain things, but eventually the goal is you want to exchange constantly towards what is it that I want to do with my life? Because if you don't do that, you run the risk of having resentments towards people or yourself or God. And it's no way of living. When you, Tim, started to remain in GameStop when the time for being in GameStop had expired, everything started to irritate you, and you kind of just leveled out at that place. And it was no longer a blessing for you because God's breath, his life, the whatever, was not on it, and he was wanting to call you to bigger and better things that was more suiting for who you are. And even though you were still successful at what you did, because God blesses those, he blesses his people regardless, it's still, and that's the thing. I want to take a second here and I want to address something. Money is not a good reason to not follow your dreams. Please don't follow someone else's dreams because it makes more money or it will create financial security. It's not worth it. It really isn't. Your soul is not worth money. The Bible says you cannot serve God and money. And that's a real thing. People serve money on a day-to-day basis, and they want to get the most comforting job that pays the highest money so that they can supposedly use that to then do their dreams. And that makes logical sense, I know, and sometimes that does work for people. But if you one of the things that I've been learning and teaching the people last week is you cannot fabricate passion. You cannot do that. It's just not possible. You cannot fake your way properly into something you're meant to be. You don't want if you needed a surgery, you don't want a doctor who doesn't want anything to do with doctoring, who is there because his family wanted him to be there, operating on you. He's going to do a subpar job. You're going to have some kind of problem with your body when you wake out of anesthesia, probably. It's not going to be great. You want a doctor who actually wanted to be a doctor operating on you, because they will do everything in their power to ensure that you come out of that surgery better than when you came in. It's just just think about it from that perspective. You cannot fabricate passion and interest in something. You can definitely go to things that are tangible. What's the word? Not tangible. They parallel, they tangential. I don't know. There's a word that has tangent in it. That's something, I don't know. If anyone knows the word, please let me know, because I don't know the word. But it's something to do with tangent. You can probably do things that are tangent to your dreams that can, again, help you move towards it. But you can't just fabricate passion. And so money is just not a good reason to abandon and sell out your dreams. It just isn't. And again, resentment exists in that space. And again, we might have to make a whole thought raid, Tim, about resentment, because just to break it down, what it is, why you don't want it. In fact, maybe that's what we'll do for this thought raid on Friday. But you don't want resentment in your life, because resentment causes you to act differently. It makes you be more shifty, to lie more. It causes you to be more anxious. It causes you to be more angry. It causes you to be more prideful. It just brings in all of this ugly stuff that you don't want in your life. What you saying over here, Tim?
So I've been going through my notes from the past 17 years recently, and just sifting what to keep and what to throw away. And I've been building my life book, right? And this is an excerpt from it. And it said, without a clear purpose or destination, you have no foundation on which to base your decisions, allocate your time, and use your resources. You instead tend to make choices based on circumstances, pressures, and moods at that current moment. And man, if I could go back to all the times where I've made decisions and spent resources based on what I believed and felt and thought in the moment instead of based on what I'm choosing to do long term, I would not have a house payment right now, for one thing, because there have been so many times where in the moment it's like, I know I want a house. I know that this would be great down the line, but I need to feel good right now. So I'm going to go out and spend $100 on a shirt at Abercrombie and Fitch. Now I just think like I only had a short stint in my life. I think from like 25 to 26 or 27, like a year or two where I didn't work. And I was just being a lazy bag. Whatever type of bag you want to insert there is fine. But prior to that, I made money consistently. I'm just thinking if I had actually stewarded that money well and looked long term, because I always wanted to get married. I wanted to live in a house instead of a trailer. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were all these things that I wanted, and yet in the moment, I lost sight of those things in the moment. And I just placated myself to make myself feel good based on the pressures I felt then, based on my mood, and that's why it's so important to have a definite long-term destination or purpose or dream. Because in the moment, you're going to think to yourself, man, I have $50 extra to spend on whatever this month. I'm kind of struggling. I'm always working. I'm going to treat myself to a $50 dinner. Well, guess what? That's going to make you feel good in the moment. But that same $50 could have been put towards a course to teach you, I don't know, C++ programming. Because some people, their dream is to get into cybersecurity instead of working construction, but it's like, what am I willing to, the whole delayed gratification concept, what am I willing to put off now so I can have for later? And that's a tough concept, especially here in America where everything is so microwave and immediate.
Yeah. Yes. That's perhaps one of the biggest struggles that I've had when it comes to pursuing the dream that I have, because my time frame in my head for when I think something should happen is by far not the actual time frame of which it takes to get there. One of the first things I had to learn is to slow down. Like, I think if you are in a place where you feel like you have to move 50 miles per hour just to keep up, no, not true. Definitely not true. Unless, for whatever reason, God has said, yes, I want you to be moving at this pace. No, like, you don't have to. Like, you can go much slower. I get myself in trouble when I'm trying to move fast. And I miss opportunities. I miss the peace of God. I miss what people are saying because I get into this anxious space that just shuts everything down except survival mode. And I just miss out on what people are trying to tell me or what God's trying to tell me or what's going on actually. Mm-hmm. So it's okay to slow down. Accomplishing a dream could be something that could happen like this, but more than often, and in my case, getting to this place with Thought Raid has taken me 8 years since the first idea.
Brandon, that's a really good point too, slowing down, because as you're talking, I'm just thinking about an analogy in a way that I felt. And guys, if you felt this way, it might be an indicator, a red flag that you need to change something about your life. But I know for the longest time, I felt attached to something. Not like my life was moving forward with me as the center of it, I was looking for something to attach myself to so I could move forward. And that's what always got me into trouble. And I would hazard to say that if you're feeling that way, something that you need to constantly ask yourself is, okay, well, do I feel like I am the center of my forward motion, or do I feel like this entity that I'm attached to is the center of my forward motion? And secondly, do I feel like me moving forward requires me to be creative? or does me moving forward require me just to follow the procedures of something else? Everything that you do, guys, that is inspired of a dream, is inspired of a goal that you inspired or God inspired, requires creativity. And it requires creativity because you got to figure out what to do with what you got.
Yeah.
You don't have more than what you've got. You've just got what you've got.
Yeah.
You
got what you got.
you got what you got. And some people have more money. Some people have better looks. Some people have more athleticism. Some people were just born into a better situation, but that's not you. You've got what you've got. And part of achieving what's over there from where you're at right now is creative solutions.
Yeah.
What can I do? How can I do it?
And really focus on what do you want to do without comparing yourself to other people that are, again, tangibly doing something similar. Like, that's a big... I feel like sometimes people disqualify themselves from their goals and dreams because they see someone doing something similar at a much higher level, and they immediately, they're like, I can't do that. You're not called to do that. Your purpose is not to do what someone else is doing. I have broadcasted in my life, live broadcasted, back in 2014 to about 2018, and now I'm doing it again through Thought Raid. There are people who have far less quality of a stream than I do that have far more viewers than I do. And, like, it's not about perfection. It's not about living to other people's standards. If you pull away your anxieties, do whatever it takes to get away from the anxious thoughts and the comparisons, and you think for a second about what you should be doing, you can probably think of things that you could and should be doing. And if you are doing those things, you are succeeding. The success isn't in the result. The success is in the obedience.
Oof, Brandon. So going through my notes, I saw these notes that I'd written down forever ago, and it was talking about results-based Christianity and how a lot of the hurt and the anger and the despair and the misrepresentation of Jesus is because a lot of people believe the gospel to be results-oriented, but it's not. And that's so true what you're saying about dreams and stuff not being focused on the result, because if you're focused on the result, you're limiting yourself as to what it can be and what you think it should be.
Right.
When in actuality, any major dream, any major goal, in some part is going to impact other people and requires loving people. It really does. In order for you to be a good architect, for instance, you might think to yourself, well, my dream is to be an architect. Well, okay, what good is being an architect if your stuff just sits in a chest or a case or on a computer or hard drive and doesn't actually get built? It requires other people and their investment and their involvement. Well, Tim, part of my dream is to have, a nursery. Well, okay, well, a lot of this stuff, it's great if you do it for yourself, but ultimately we're designed to be in relationship with other people and to do things for their greater good. We're designed for that, guys. So being focused more so on the process, if you don't know who God is and you don't have a relationship with him, part of the really cool thing about understanding who God is, and is contrary to what a lot of Christian belief is, he's not this fire and brimstone, you're going to hell if you don't do this, this, and this. That's not who he is. Who he is, hey, what's on your heart? Let's figure out a way to do this. And he shows you cool stuff along the way and, does really awesome things, And you miss that if you're so focused on that over there.
Yeah. If you're so focused on the result, like I'm gonna take this from a Christian perspective, and then I'm gonna take it from a practical perspective. From a Christian perspective, God is not going to judge you on what other people are doing. His judgment is more so based on, did you do what he gave you to do? And you have to understand that his yoke is easy and his burden is light. So he's going to only give you things that either you are capable of doing on your own or you are capable of doing with his strength. Either way, he is not going to judge you on things that someone else is doing. So if you are doing what you know that God, you know that 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 God told you to do this thing, if you're doing that, you are just as successful as the person who is reaching millions of people. Because in God's eyes, you are obedient, you're operating in faith. That's what's most important. Are you able to work beyond what is seen and tangible and able to be experienced? From a practical perspective, it is impossible to follow and build your dreams if you are constantly focused on someone else's dreams, because oftentimes the people that are successful are constantly comparing themselves to other people, and before you know it, you lose what is being tried to be done in the first place because everyone is copying off of everyone else. And now that's where you end up having the trend. Because I see what this person's doing and they're successful, so I'm going to try to do it. And before you know it, the world is saturated with mimics. And there's nothing good in everyone doing the same thing. It's not to say that I don't enjoy this particular genre that everyone likes to jump on the bandwagon of. I do. And it is enjoyable. But the world is grossly missing out on original content. So if you try to compare yourself to other people, one, you're going to end up living a lie because you're sure they're doing something similar to what you want to do, but it's still not entirely you. Two, it's really hard to innovate when you keep trying to build according to someone else's standards of their dream. Because, like, you can learn so much from observation, but there's a lot of learning that doesn't happen until you do it. And we talked about this in building the perfect community. There comes a point where you have to put down the drawing board and just do it. In the same way, when it comes to building your dream, just do it. Like you're going to learn a lot better teaching. You're going to learn a lot better doing than you're going to learn reading and experiencing. Because it's just, but while just reading about it, watching it, and comparing yourself, it's all these nebulous concepts that may not actually work for you at all. Like, it's like, you're talking about a pyramid scheme where they talk, if you could just get 3 people under you and that person get 3 people under them, very quickly you run out of people. At the top, of the pyramid, you need just 3 people because all there is 3 people. At the bottom, most people have already heard about it, and not everyone wants to be involved, and you have a massive problem because it builds up way too fast. And so you got too many people doing too much of the same thing, and they're soaking dry the few people that actually would benefit from it, and now you've created yourself a problem. So it's just like, I got onto this tangent, and I had a point, and I lost it. Dang it, crap.
Well, real quick, Deathbane, are you still there?
And also, are you server muted? No, you're not server muted. Okay, cool.
I think he may be AFK. I wanted to get his perspective since he's kind of in the mode of figuring out life from the position of coming out of adolescence into young adulthood.
Are you there, Deathbane? Okay. Oh, there you are.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, so DB, like all this stuff we're talking about must make a lot of sense to you because you're coming out of school and you're entering the real world, so to speak, and there's all these suppositions of what your life should look like and what you should do with your life.
Yeah.
And I know that you also are probably thinking about limitations and how much money do I have to do this, and what can I actually do, and like what is going through your mind with all that? How do you reconcile what you want to do with what you think you can do, and what the approval of the people that have been your leaders?
1 second, I will answer that in a thing. I'm on the phone with someone.
Oh, whoops. Well, we'll get back to that in just a second. But man, if only I could remember specifically. It was something related to the lines of like going back to comparing yourself and doing what other people are doing and stuff of that nature.
That's what I did with Amway. I didn't do what Tim wanted to do. I didn't walk in who Tim actually was. I remember I had this mentor, and because Amway, which if you guys don't know is a multi-level marketing thing, just like Brandon was talking about. I don't want to say it's a pyramid scheme because the business model made sense. And, I'm not in Amway anymore, and I'm never going to be in it again. And I don't have any hard feelings towards it. But there was this concept where it's like you have to give up who you are and be this person, follow this model. And as long as you submitted to the model, you're going to succeed. And that makes sense to a degree. I mean, most businesses are like that. If something has worked in the past, just do it over. But there's the element of play. There's the element of instinct that eschews out of the equation, and through my 20s, man, early on, I wore torn jeans and band shirts. I remember one of my favorite shirts was a Blink-182 shirt that said, "Take off your pants and jacket," in bright yellow letters. It was the name of one of their albums. And I had spiked hair, and I drove a Mitsubishi Eclipse with a body kit, and that's what I was figuring stuff out, and I was just having fun. And because I got so focused on the Amway dream, making lots of money, becoming a business mogul, I threw all that stuff away, and I started wearing penny loafers, pleated pressed dress pants, the thick ties, tucking in my shirt, and I'm like, who is this person? And I remember thinking to myself, even if I get the lifestyle that I want of all this money and whatever, and this was once again while I was in my early 20s, even if I get that lifestyle, I still have to be this facade of who I'm not to maintain it. And that's a thought that I had, and it was kind of true. If you build an empire of followers, or if you build a lifestyle off of something that you faked, in order to maintain that, you have to maintain the fakeness. But when you just cut yourself open and you're honest about your process and you work with what you've got, it's such a healthier foundation. It's a much more sustainable foundation too.
Yeah.
I was not cut out to be a FedEx delivery driver. I was not cut out to be I could probably be an architect. That actually sounds like a lot of fun. Police officer, not me. Things that are like a tax, a CPA, or anything dealing with numbers.
I'm back, by the way.
Welcome back.
Hate it. But now what I'm doing is, and my wife is so good at challenging me on this because, there's still stuff like that in me that wants to take over my process. And she's like, that's not who you are. I mean, look at my background. I've got Legend of Zelda. I got my little guitar. I got my Gara backpack right here. I got a fridge in my office because I like snacks. Over there I've got a skateboard. I like to draw and read books. None of that is what a CPA does for a living. And so I'm like, okay, well, what do I like? What can I do? I love people. I've been through a lot of dumb stuff. I made a lot of dumb decisions. I love building community. Let me find a way to make that work for me. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're building relationships and communities and just teaching people how to not make the dumb decisions that we've done and how to love people properly. And you and I, Brandon, do that as content creators. We do that in person. We do that on streams with people or in Discord. And it's like, okay, this makes more sense. This is a lot more sustainable because when I wake up, I don't put a mask on.
Yeah.
It's so freeing.
So what are your thoughts about all of this, Deathbane?
I mean, what can you give me like a brief? What do you want to know from me?
Sure. So like in about 5 minutes or less, what we're asking is, you're in that mode of life right now where you're transitioning from adolescenthood to young adulthood. You're transitioning from having people lead your life to walking in the responsibility of leading yourself in life, right? And you're thinking, okay, well, what is that going to look like? What is adult DB going to look like? How are you reconciling that? And how are you trying to keep yourself aware of following what is on your heart and your dreams instead of what people expect of you and the dreams of others?
Well, mostly right now, I'm trying not to have my entire world collapse in on me because my house was made of 100% sand and it was kind of just being held up by like a different building. I was like, man, everything's okay. And then somebody was like, okay, now you're on your own, take away the framework. And I'm like, this is not bricks. We're about to have a bad time. So that's my current spot in life is I realized everything that I had going was just nothing of my own. It was either anything that's not my own or nothing structurally stable. So I went from this is a house made of seems fine to this is wet sand and the bricks that were there are now gone. So we're in a sinking house and this is going great.
So how are you processing through that? What is your process right now of transferring sand to brick?
Panic mostly.
Oh gosh.
It's a
What area?
panic and denial. Those are the two that we're going with right
Ooh,
now.
denial's a good one.
Ooh.
That's the video games.
That's-
I allowed video games to ruin my life.
Oh, I'm not letting them ruin my life. I'm trying to use them as best I can to mitigate. I'm trying to be like, oh, I can hopefully turn this into something. Because it's the only thing that I have that's like, this is one thing I know I like that's in an area where I can maybe turn it into something. Beyond that, it's kind of just,
My question is, if
Yeah.
you feel comfortable about talking about it real quick, is like
Sure.
what's one area that you recognize is sand that needs to be brick?
90% of everything.
Is it more so your circumstances as far as finances? Is it your relationships? How you view yourself?
I basically my entire life structure has changed from where I was to where I am now. Like before, I had kind of like I had structure of stuff that was familiar to now everything that was known is unknown. Because I had friends, I had family, I had security, I had all these things, and now I'm in a place where it's all unknown. I've gone from I knew people to now I'm in a new area and known practically no one. I had a support structure before, and now that is all dissolved and gone. It's just I had things before to be like, ah, yes, I can handle the transition. But basically, the year before I moved to the next stage of my life, everything that was there crumbled in. All my support structures and anything that I had going for me collapsed. So then I went into the next stage of life with nothing to help me. So then it was just like, it's all unknowns and nothing to help me.
That's a really good place to be.
It's a fantastic place to be. Everything's unknown, everything's scary. You don't know what you're gonna do next month, and you're just
I don't know if you're being serious. Is it a fantastic place? Because
it's terrible. It's awful. You see, it's a terrible time. There's only panic, and that's it.
Well, I personally say it because that was 2020, for me, of a lot of things that were secure and this is the way things work, which is gone. Like
2020 hasn't made it easier, I'll give you that.
Yeah, here's your full-time job, gone. Here is, one of your closest friends, married, gone. Here is, your regular Wednesday night group that you go to, gone. All of these structural things just poof, gone. And it was terrifying. I remember many moments in March, April, laying on the floor in panic because what am I doing? Where is my money going to come from? How am I going to take care of things? Just a lot of things just poof.
But you were more set up than where I am now. I went from having all the stuff, it crashed in, then COVID happened, and now I'm on my own.
Yeah, granted, that is true. But because all of these things shifted, I have been able to grow back stronger than I was before that point. And that's why I was like, you're in a great place, because even though, yes, it is terrifying, and yes, there's a lot of struggle, there is also a great opportunity to grow strong in all of this. And that is something, honestly, like, you know, after this point, if you want to continue talking or something, I'd be down to help.
Well, it's the thing of before this, I was kind of like I was at my breaking point, and then more stuff was added. It was like, hey, do you know you can? Everyone, you're playing your game. You got your whatever your carrying capacity is. You can carry 100 pounds in the game, and I'm like, I'm at 115 right now. And then it was like, and here's an extra 1,000. Good luck. That's where I feel like I'm at.
When you find dragon bones, and it's like, oh, these are so. Oh, I can't pick any of them up because I've got.
No, but the thing is, it's like I have it's when you're in a game and it's like you can't. This is a quest item. You can't drop it. So it's like you're 1,000 pounds overweight and you can't drop any of it because otherwise you're gone. You're dead. You can't continue the game. That's where I'm at. I'm like, I'm doing okay. Everything is fine. I have my people helping me out. That extra little 15 bits of thing. It's like, it's a little hard, but I got a couple people backing me up. And then they leave, and I'm like, oh, okay, 15 extra pounds over the carrying capacity. That's still okay. I can manage it. And then I was like, and I'm on to the next stage of life. And they're like, okay, here's an extra 1,000 pounds. You should be able to handle this, right? And I'm like, huh?
Now the other science is over encumbered and you're just not moving.
Yeah, I'm just like,
your character.
I don't know. I'm stuck. What do I do? How am I supposed to move around to upgrade my stuff?
For the sake of the stream, maybe we should continue this conversation.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah. No, I agree. And maybe we may even have like a thought rate to talk about this specifically on stream if you're down for it in the future.
Oh, I'm totally down. I am super great about talking about how my life is falling apart.
So
you want to hear all about it in front of your live audience? I'm sure they'd love to hear about it.
What about on actually we'll talk about this after stream. I'm gonna close it out here for the time frame, and then we'll talk about it after stream. So all right. So if you guys can mute, I'm gonna have some music playing, and then I'll let you guys know when I finish. So we're doing something different until we actually have our own personal music to close out Thought Raid with. So all right. So I want to thank you guys for watching. It's been a lot of fun. We broadcast every week on Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be live again this Friday at 4 p.m. We'd love to have you there for that. If this stream has meant a lot to you, I want to encourage you guys to subscribe to us. We have Patreon, and we also have PayPal, although we specifically do have the Patreon link in the description below. I need to add PayPal in there now, thinking about it, mental note. Anyways, we love to have you to subscribe to us and to help us out financially. We want to get to a place where we could make $25,000 per month, so that we will be able to bring on a full-time staff and better our equipment and be able to travel to you guys so we can do Thought Raid live from your own hometown, maybe even. We're definitely looking to travel around and to just minister to people where they're at locally and host events and stuff of that nature. So if you are feeling so led, thank you for subscribing to us and helping us out financially. The link is down in the description. But I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again this Friday, 4 p.m. You guys have a good night.